Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Thursday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Thursday. We'll be joined by Brent Beaird, our college football analyst, here in just a second on the Titan and More hotline. Second portion of today's show, we got the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. We're deep into the high school basketball playoffs. We'll have Marty Pallman from the PrepZone.com join us, break it all down for us. Just some news and notes for the program tomorrow. We will have at the beginning of the show. All right, I'm echoing for some reason. I don't know why that's happening. But at the beginning of the show, we will have not JC. We're going to have Chris Doring join us tomorrow. He is sponsoring, Chris Doring Mortgage is sponsoring the Steve Spurrier Coaches Award banquet, which is going to be at Spurrier's Restaurant on Monday. I think there are tickets available for that if you want to go. Josh Heupel will be there. Shane Beamer, they both won the award. I know Coach Napier will be there as well. So we'll have Doring on Monday, and then at 8:30 we're going to have Kelly Ray Finley. Kelly Ray Finley, the hot coach in the country right now, the hottest coach in the country. The Lady Gators basketball team will join us at 8:30. So that's your news and notes. But let's get to the Titan MR hotline. And we are joined by our good friend, Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How are you?
Shane, good morning. Good to be with you. Our temperatures have moderated a little bit. Going to be 81 today, then back in the 60s this weekend, but enjoying basketball season, but certainly no shortage of college football information out there right now either.
Not at all. Andy says, good morning, Gators, from Joliet, Illinois. It's funny that my rookie class with the Bears had a running back, fullback from Joliet. We called it, his name was John Abloh. We called him Jolton Johnny from Joliet. He was a good little football player. I think he's been a cop a long time in that area. Anyway, Brent, we got some news and notes going on. College football never slows down, obviously. But they announced it yesterday, I believe it was, that some old number 15 is going to speak at graduation.
Yeah, he sure is. Tim Tebow is speaking at Florida's graduation on April the 29th. I think that's a tremendous opportunity for him. And look, if you here's a guy that has had such success, and a lot of that success is predicated on him working as hard as he has. I have no question that his faith has helped him tremendously during that time. But look, but people relate to him, and I hope that goes well.
Yeah, should be a good thing, no doubt about it. But can you imagine? A lot of these graduates are going to be able to say, you know what? When I graduated from the University of Florida in 2022, Tim Tebow was our guest speaker. So
they'll never forget it.
They'll never forget it. You're right. I saw a note that you sent about the Super Bowl champ and the national championship.
Yes.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. First time since 1988, the national champion and the Super Bowl champion quarterback were from the same school. Now, people may want to know when's the last time that happened. It was 1988 when Notre Dame won the national championship, and Joe Montana and the 49ers won the Super Bowl. So, yeah, Shane, I don't know what the odds of something like that would be, but I don't know if they're astronomical, but it's close, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's only happened twice, so it doesn't happen very often. All right, with the college football, the committee, all that stuff, what's going on there, Brent?
They will meet again in the first week of March They're still stuck in their same position, unfortunately, right now. They're supposed to unanimously agree on expansion, and that has not happened. They've still got issues. The ACC has complained that they need to delay it. The type of model that they want, that they've argued for a 5+1, which is 5 Power 5 conferences and 1 non-Power 5. The Rose Bowl is kind of always an issue here, and that hasn't changed. And I'll be brief with this, but Mike Resco, the commissioner of the American Athletic Conference, wrote an open letter this week to college football that really kind of shot down some of the arguments from the ACC. The ACC argument is, well, if you play 17 games, you've got a chance for more players to get hurt. Well, I can tell you this, and I cover the ACC, and I enjoy doing that. But there's no danger of having multiple teams right now from the ACC in the playoffs. Frankly, the ACC should want it to be expanded so they can either be sure to get a team in or maybe even 2 from time to time. And then the second hurdle was, again, the 5+1 format. But look, Shane, at some point you just got to get in the room, compromise on some of these things, vote it, and get going. So, in a nutshell, that's what Orozco, who obviously has a long history of being in television, getting things done. He really is one of the better commissioners, knows how to implement ideas. I wish they pay a lot more attention to him than some of the other commissioners they pay attention to.
Yeah. I talked about it earlier in the week, I believe, but the SEC, man, the money these schools are getting from the conference is just crazy. What was it, like $55 million each school got this year?
Here's the fact about that to me that really blows your mind is in all the SEC schools got $77 million in distribution. Only 53 Division I schools have a total budget of $77 million. As Shane said, each school apiece, $54.6 million. And look, some of this was involved with what they got from the league for COVID. This is the reason no one will ever leave the SEC. I get amused when I read maybe Vanderbilt wants to leave the SEC and go to another conference. No, they don't. When you get that much money, you're not going anywhere. Shane, I remember this distinctly when and this obviously was a few decades ago, but I remember every SEC school got $4 million, and people were going crazy because they'd never heard that before. Now they're getting $54.6 million for each school.
It's just absolutely unbelievable. Now, well, we got a text on the Titan MR text line, and it comes from our good friend Ryan of the program. It says, "Good morning, Shane. I heard rumors of a Rams victory celebration, but it just turned out it was just the line at the local Chick-fil-A. More Bengals fans." He says more Bengals fans were out in the cold in the wee hours to welcome back the losing team. Maybe LA stands for lazy asses. I didn't. So they had their parade. I missed that. I don't.
Yes.
And nobody showed up.
Well, let's just say it was a small group of family and friends. It wasn't that much. So, or at least on Twitter, and Twitter can be deceiving. Believe me. The pictures that they showed were just a small group of fans. So, and with the Rams and moving around and so forth, that's been an issue. Golly, can you imagine if the Bengals had won, Shane, what that would have been?
Yeah, it's crazy to me. We got a couple Facebook Lives here before we move on. I'm trying to read all of them here as quickly as I can. Don says, good morning, Shane. Seems the Gators now have the attention of Arch Manning. Exciting stuff. Yeah, we'll get to that here in just a second. I don't know. I don't know how interested he really is, quite honest. I think it's a 3-horse race, in my opinion. Here's a great question from Trey, Brent. He says, good morning, gentlemen. If Bill O'Brien leaves Bama for the NFL, would Saban consider John Gruden? If so, how would it be received by the players and the fans? I don't know how anybody can hire him.
I would doubt that would happen now. Here's the thing: the longer this goes on, and Saban said himself a few days ago when he was talking about the new additions to the staff, he was asked about Bill O'Brien, and he said, "Well, we think that he likes being in Alabama, and we think that he will be back." I mean, he didn't say that was for sure because at that point the NFL season was still going on, and anything can happen. But frankly, the longer this goes on, the more it looks like he's going to stay. I mean, Bama's made some staff changes, and we'll get into in a minute. But I think at this point, he very well might now think that the wheels of the NFL grind slowly sometimes, as Shane knows, in some of these decisions. But as of now, he is there. But Shane, I agree with you. I don't think that. Now, I'll say this: if he brought now, Saban has brought coaches on repeatedly and made them an analyst, and they just kind of toiled in a back room somewhere, but they were able to kind of reboot themselves as far as their reputation is concerned. I have not heard that would happen, so I'll say at this point, just out of opinion, that I just don't think it would.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Alabama here more. They are adding some former head coaches as analysts. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with our college football analyst, Brent Beaird, on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. All right, Brent, let's talk portal. I love it when you send me these updates on the portal about how many kids have left different schools. Let's start with the group of 5.
The interesting thing about this is in the group of 5, the highest number that have left. I won't go into all of them, but Buffalo leads with 22. Hawaii has 17. UCF has 17. Houston has 16. So that's with the group of 5. And this is since August 1 of last year. And the Power 5, Maryland, Colorado, and Indiana all had 21. Auburn 19, Ole Miss 18, Arkansas 18, Southern Cal 18. That these are the schools with the highest number of portal entries, again, since August 1. Here are the raw numbers. There are 1,400 scholarship entries since August 1. 57 have officially withdrawn. 793 have new destinations. 581 still actively in the portal. 57% have found a new home. Now, the good thing is these numbers have gotten better as far as players finding somewhere to go. But still, Shane, 581 players still in the portal. That's a lot of guys in limbo, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And the crazy thing about it is I just hate it when these guys we don't know how long they've been sitting in that portal, giving up the free education. Well, some of them could be walk-ons, but majority of them are scholarship athletes, giving up that scholarship and not really knowing what's going on. Dana Holgerson, he's a group of 5 coach, but he just got a pay raise.
Well, when you go 12-2 and have an AAC championship appearance, you win over Auburn in a bowl game. That happened. So, congrats to him. for getting an extension and a raise. Dana's names have been mentioned a little bit with some of the jobs, but he's staying with Houston too. And I don't know where you know him, but I give him a lot of credit. I think he's stabilized that program, Shane. Don't know how long he will be there, but he's done a good job bringing guys in and making his system work at Houston.
Yeah, he's a good coach. I think he's perfect for Houston. Andy has a Facebook Live question for you, brought to you by Mellon Law. Brent, do you plan on attending any SEC spring football games? Is there anything you can learn from those games by going?
I always go as many of them as I can, and I usually try to go to Alabama and Florida State if I can do that. I get the question, but it's just good to see these teams on the field. I mean, when you're in the press box, you're talking to other media. You often learn stuff that you normally don't. But, I mean, it's always good to see some players and see who's going to step up during these games. I'm glad Florida has got theirs. I hate a lot of these games are on Easter weekend because a lot of these schools are probably going to lose several thousand fans who, for one reason or another, are with their families Easter and just can't go to the games. But I really do encourage our listeners, if you get a chance to go to a spring game, go. A lot of folks can't afford tickets during the season, and it's a good opportunity to be able to take your family out and watch them play usually for free. So to me, there are a lot of positives to go to a spring game to be able to do so. And Shane, if I may mention this real quick, one of the best ideas that I have ever heard for spring practice is going on at Iowa State, because they have announced that they're going to have 3 open practices at Ames High School, Gilbert High School, and Des Moines High School. And that's not something you see very often, is you kind of go on the road, you have an open practice, you get to meet a lot of different fans. Maybe it's just me, but I love that idea, and I wish more schools would do that.
Yeah, it is a good idea. For some reason, why do I think Miami did that a couple of years ago? Went to different places down south. Maybe not, but I tell you who doesn't like that idea: the damn equipment man. The guys in charge of the equipment, they don't want to be loading that stuff up and going from high school to high school. I can promise you that. It's not a whole lot of fun. Alan asks, is the spring game open to the general public? Yes, it is. Is there a cost? Yes. Andy down here says it's $5. Yeah, it's not much. It's a great time, as you mentioned, Brent. Bring your youngins, let them run around campus. It's usually not a packed house. Usually, I haven't looked at the other spring sports schedule, but usually there's a baseball series or a softball series or something else on campus going on. Before we jump into the big boys here, Conference USA has kind of realigned. Can you give us a thumbnail of what it's all about?
Yeah, Southern Miss, Marshall, and Old Dominion have announced plans to leave June 30th of 2022. Well, that's kind of around the corner, is it not? So the question is, what are they doing? They're leaving the Conference USA. They're going to the Sun Belt, and which is interesting because my understanding is this took a lot of people by surprise, frankly, so that they're kind of realigning themselves. And Conference USA has announced that it will move forward with an 11-team league. Now, my question is, I've seen this a little bit for the schools who were playing Southern Miss, Marshall, and Old Dominion. How are they going to do with their scheduling? So that's some headaches they need to work out. But that was an interesting development this week for that conference.
Yeah, and then there's always people coming out who they think have the toughest schedules in all of college football. It looks like the Mississippi State Bulldogs supposedly had the toughest schedule in America.
24/7's Brad Crawford ranked the schedules. at that time. In the top 10, Maryland, Auburn, Arkansas, Ohio State, A&M, Indiana, Alabama, Michigan State, and South Carolina. But Mississippi State does have a tough schedule. They have got in a row A&M, Arkansas, at Kentucky, and at Alabama. Man, that's pretty tough right there.
It really is. Okay, so we had somebody mention Arch Manning. Basically, it's a 3-horse race in my opinion: Alabama, Georgia, or Texas. Obviously, Ole Miss is still mentioned, and Florida and LSU have been mentioned recently. Your thoughts on that, Brent?
Yeah, the Florida and LSU joining the race, or the latest ones. Clemson is the only program that is no longer under consideration. Now, I had an interesting last couple of days because I was on a segment in South Carolina and was just asked my opinion, and I gave my opinion of basically what you just said, that I thought it would come down to either Alabama and Texas, or Alabama, Texas, Georgia. And some people misquoted that and said that I was saying that that was inside information as far as where he's going. Look, no one has any inside information on this. It's the Manning family that's the only ones with any inside information. That was just opinion. But Shane, I do agree with you. I do think at the end that's basically what it comes down to. And again, what we have to remember, he has another year to play in high school. He's playing basketball now, if they're still alive, in the postseason. A tremendous athlete, 6'4", 220. That again, his recruitment will be probably something that we have never seen before as far as the attention he's getting.
Yeah. All right. Let's go around the SEC. Alabama. They are playing the same day Florida is, April 16th, but they've made some additions to their coaching staff. Some former players, some former head coaches. Talk about that.
Yeah. Now again, these are just guys who are going to be analysts or GAs. But Zach Mettenberger, the former LSU quarterback, is going to be an analyst. And then Braxton Barker, who is Jay Barker's son, is going to be a GA. Now, what came out last night is Derek Dooley. Yes, that Derek Dooley, who is at Tennessee, is going to be an analyst for Alabama. Now, and again, Shane and I have tried to say this for a while, but when you come out on Twitter with this, Shane, it looks like these guys are going to be coordinators and the head coach. They're just really going to be analysts. And I'm not trying to minimize that. My point is, and help me on this, Shane, an analyst, and I've asked about this, these guys make about $50,000 to $60,000 a piece at the bigger schools, and you never really see them. There are a bunch of them. They all have their different jobs that they're assigned to, and it's really nothing glorious, frankly. But people, because of their names, former coaches, head coaches, etc. It's a big deal on Twitter when stuff like that comes out. So I just kind of want to make the distinction there. Bama's also hired Joe Cox, the former Georgia starting quarterback, who is a tight ends coach at UNC Charlotte and was a wide receivers coach at South Carolina. So that keeps folks a little bit up to date on what's going on in Alabama. But Shane, listen, nobody's going to sneeze at $60,000 a year, but we just needed to put what the analysts do in a little bit of position as to what that means. Yeah,
their salaries vary. I know Alabama has some longtime NFL coaches as analysts that probably make $100,000 or so.
Yeah.
One that comes to mind is a guy named Joe Pendry. I was with him at two different stops in the NFL. Longtime NFL coach, coaching the USFL, but he's like Saban's right-hand man. He's an analyst.
Correct.
But yeah, everybody wants to go to Alabama to be an analyst. They want to learn from Saban. All right, Auburn. Harsin is back, but I guess the all-world JT Daniels is trying to find a spot, and it may be at Auburn.
Well, this has just come out over the last few days as far as where he would go, and a real possibility is Auburn. Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South, who I have a lot of respect for, says that Auburn has reached out here. Now, again, the question is, well, how many quarterbacks are they going to have? Well, they've got T.J. Finley, who transferred from LSU. They've got Zach Calzada, who transferred from A&M. And they've also got Robbie Ashford, who comes from Oregon. Now, he never really played at Oregon, but they've got a room full. And the question is, if JT Daniels comes, would a lot of these other guys leave? Well, maybe, maybe not. And I'll throw this caveat in here real quick is what we got to remember is they all get one free transfer. Okay, so they've done that to Auburn. Well, they're out of transfers now as far as free ones. So what do they have to do if they transferred again? Well, they would have to sit out a year. And the reality of that is if you're going to do that, Shane, that may be more encouragement to actually stay and try to play instead of going somewhere and have to sit out.
Well, I will tell you this. I don't know Calzado. I don't know a thing about TJ Finley. I can promise you they ain't worried about JT Daniels signing with Auburn. I mean, as I've said, JT Daniels, if he was that good, would have been playing for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yep,
okay?
Good point.
And it's not like he has a whole lot of options out there. So
correct.
It's amazing to me. Anyway, what's going on with Billy Napier and the Gators, Brent?
Well, I mean, it just continues to be good stuff from what I hear. Patrick Toney, the co-DC, will call plays on defense. I like what Napier came out with the media. He's met with the media, fortunately, a good bit. We're grateful for that. It says there are three main things he's looking for as he's filled out his staff. Sincere, authentic care for others. I thought that was incredible. Ability to put your ego on the shelf, expertise in the area, and recruiting. So, and again, Shane and I say this every week, if folks will be patient and let this guy do what he needs to do, there's going to be a tremendous difference in this program, and it's going to be sooner than later.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I got a couple questions here, Brent. John asked, Brent, is there any truth to the Kentucky OC going to the Rams? I've heard that rumor going around. I think he's referring to Liam. I can't remember his last name, but he came from the Rams. It wouldn't shock me if he went back to the Rams.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, we're going to get to that anyway. So yes, there is the possibility that might happen. I know Jeremy Fowler's reported that. Adam Schefter has also mentioned it. Cohen has actually turned down some other jobs and even some NFL jobs to stay at Kentucky. However, if you to go back to the Rams, that may be a bit much to turn down. So we will just say, matter of fact, Matt Jones of Kentucky Sports Radio said that Cohen turned down a chance to go to the Saints as the offensive coordinator. So yes, he will say this. He's still at Kentucky, but there is certainly a chance that he may go back to the NFL and go to the Rams. Yes.
Joseph says you're right, Brent. That's why you can't count out the Arch Manning rumors. Wouldn't surprise me if Billy snagged him. I would love that, but I'm gonna go on a limb and say it ain't gonna happen. That's just my gut feeling. I know the Manning family. I know what they're thinking. I think he's going to end up at Alabama, Georgia, or Texas. Those are my thoughts. Brent, man, time goes fast. Real quick, is there a more anticipated spring game for fan bases than in Columbia, South Carolina, with Spencer Rattler at quarterback?
I think there's as much excitement right now in their spring game, same day as Florida's on April the 16th. And the other thing is, this is a night game. They're playing at 7 o'clock, which means that they will no doubt be the ESPN night game after several games during the day. But no, I would agree with that totally, Shane. I think that there will be a tremendous amount of excitement. They ended the year well, and they've got some nice additions. You mentioned a Rattler. I'm not saying they're going to win the division. They're not ready to do that. And I'm curious what you've heard, but just from here from South Carolina people, there's an excitement they've got there now that I don't think they've had since Coach Spurrier was there, frankly.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. John's got a question here. He says, and it's brought to you by Melton Law. Nowadays, is it more difficult to be a college football head coach or NFL? Oh, it's college. It's not even close. Yes. NFL, yes. All you do is coach ball. Right. You ain't got to recruit. You don't have to deal. And not only do you now in college have to recruit, you have to deal with the transfer portal. You have to deal with the silly NIL. You have to deal with it. There is no way. If you had a choice to be an NFL coach or a college coach, hands down, people are going to say NFL. I used to think the other way because I love the loyalty of college football, but that's no longer in existence. Brent, give us some nuggets before we get out of here and get to our man Marty Pallman and talk some high school sports.
Yep, be glad to. Missouri has made some either promotions or hired some guys. They're promoting Blake Baker to defensive coordinator at Ole Miss. Special teams coach from Marshall, Jeremy Springer, is going to be joining them. Lane Kiffin's brother, Chris, is leaving to go to the Browns, so he's going to get a job there. And at some point, we'll get into the Ole Miss quarterback room, which I think is pretty interesting situation there. Brock Bowers, the All-American tight end at Georgia, labrum surgery. He will miss the spring, but we all know what he can do, so that is not going to be an issue with that either. You can kind of count on that. But FSU spring game is April the 9th, so it's a week before a lot of these other games. So, and got a lot more, but I know we're close on time. Look forward to hearing from Marty. But Shane, as always, my friend, we could go an hour or two on this because there's just an incredible amount of stuff that's happening.
There's no question. It never slows down. Brent, great stuff as always. Enjoy your weekend, buddy, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Shane. Take care.
That's the great Brent Beaird joining us on the Tight Number Hotline. Going to take a time out, come back for the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup with the marvelous Marty Pallman from the PrepZone.com. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Melton Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate. With premium brands like Nike, Regal Cinemas, Le Macaron, Dave & Buster's, Medici's, Palmetto Moon, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Now serving brunch on Saturday and Sundays. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. And don't forget, if you want to attend the Steve Spurrier Coaches Award banquet at Spurrier's, it's Monday night. I believe if you go online, you can get tickets to that. Josh Heupel from Tennessee, Shane Beamer from South Carolina are your winners. I know Coach Napier will be there with some other old Gators as well. John says, Shane, are there any? We're going to get to Marty Pallman. Marty, welcome to the program. How you doing, buddy?
Good to be with you, QB. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I got to read this Facebook Live real quick, Marty. John says,
Hi.
Shane, are there any others besides Coach Spurrier in the Hall of Fame worthy as both a player and a head coach of Major College football? There's 3 or 4 of them that were players and coaches. I believe he's the only one that's still living, though, if I'm not mistaken. Don asks, is it true AR-15 isn't back to full health even now? I have no idea, Don. No clue. I just know that he stayed hurt in high school. Hopefully they can get him healthy. But it'll be a quarterback battle in the spring to see who the starting quarterback will be, I would say, between he and Jack Miller. All right, marvelous Marty Pallman from the PrepZone.com, talking high school sports on the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. Marty, we're winding down with high school basketball. Let's start with the girls. I know the small classifications are in the Final Four. Give us a rundown of that.
Well, Shane, I don't have a whole lot of good news for the area girls basketball teams because they're all eliminated. Hawthorne was the last one in 1A. Of course, they won the state title 2 years ago under CI, and last year they were state runner-up. But they ran into Wildwood this past Tuesday night on the road. And after Hawthorne went to Trenton and won their opening game last week, they had to go to Wildwood, and Wildwood, who's the number 1 team in 1A, beat them by 34. So
Wow.
It looks like Wildwood probably the favorite to win in 1A. They're going to be in the semifinals, which for 1A are next Wednesday in Lakeland. So those are set. Madison County is there as well. Of course, they make in like every sport, it seems like. But, Madison County is on one side, Wildwood on the other, so they may play in the championship game. But, yeah, Hawthorne, had made it to the Final Four 3 years in a row. And this year they just come up 1 game short. They lost in the region final, the Elite Eight, to Wildwood. Gainesville High made the postseason, won their district, but in the first round they had to play St. Augustine, a team who made the Final Four last year and only had 1 loss all season. So their season ended in the opening round. PK Young lost in the first round on the road in Class 3A as well. Gainesville in 6A. So, Oak Hall lost in the opening round. Yeah, it was kind of a rough first week there for girls basketball. And as the boys basketball playoffs start tonight, we really don't have any teams unless you're looking at Jacksonville. There's some Jacksonville area teams that are remaining. Bishop Kenny, who's always good in 4A. Orange Park is playing still in 5A. But as far as we in North Central Florida are concerned, the girls basketball season is pretty much come to an end. Trinity Catholic, Ocala was another team that had a good year but lost in the opening round too.
Yeah, but Marty, you got to remember this program. We are around the entire world. We have tons of people listening in the Panhandle as well. So, all right, well, we had somebody ask here. Andy asked, "Can anyone beat Wildwood?"
It doesn't look like it, no. Because if Hawthorne is losing by 34 to them, I don't think anybody's going to beat Wildwood. Now, their semifinals against Port St. Joe, so they're going to play a team from out that way. And then Madison County is playing the defending state champ Ponce de Leon. Now, Ponce de Leon beat Hawthorne last year for the 1A state title in Lakeland. So if there's a team that maybe can give Wildwood a run for it down there in Lakeland, it's probably Ponce de Leon. They've been there. They knocked off Hawthorne a year ago. But if you look at the scores, I would say Wildwood is the heavy favorite, but anything can happen once they get down there in those big gym, that big RP funding center in Lakeland. Sometimes teams get 3-point happy, and it's a different place to shoot down there. So we'll see how it works out come next week with the girls basketball semifinals played on Wednesday down there.
Wrap Spot's expanding, folks. Second location in the heart of Gainesville at 1931 North Main Street. They've teamed up with Vibrant Vinyl Works to offer color change wraps, advertising wraps, custom striping, hood wraps, and wall wraps. Go check them out. That's Wrap Spot. We're speaking with marvelous Marty Pallman on the Titan MR hotline. He is he covers sports with Mike Rideout, does a tremendous job. Marty, all right, Marty, let's switch gears to the boys basketball. I believe it starts this week. I think the district tournaments are all over. Doesn't it start tonight or tomorrow?
Tonight, actually. Yep, first round's tonight. In fact, I'll be out in Trenton. The first round, Trenton and Newberry. Mike's doing Hawthorne and Williston. So we have some good first round matchups tonight in 1A. But it gets going tonight with boys basketball, and then the next round will be next Tuesday.
And so basically in the North Central Florida area, just the 1A schools are still alive?
Yeah, actually, well, no, with the exception of PK Young. PK Young did make it as well, and the boys' side, and they're going to be on the road in Class 3A. They're heading down to Central Florida to play Windermere Prep. And then if they win that, it's probably looking at a Jacksonville team, and then further down the road, Providence, probably in a region final. So that would be a tough region to get through if they want to make it to Lakeland. But right now, I mean, you'd say Gainesville High didn't make it, which surprised me a little bit because, and now, of course, the system is different. In the before this year, if you were a district tournament runner-up, you qualified for the region playoffs. Well, Gainesville beat Forest, upset them in the semifinals of the district tournament, then lost in the championship game to Fleming Island. But Gainesville didn't get enough points. They're going by an RPI kind of system now. So the top 8 in the region made it. Gainesville ended up 9th. They just missed out. So they missed the postseason this year despite, having 17, 18 wins. So you can say what you want about the system. It's different now. But it cost Gainesville a little bit. And then, the other teams, the big schools, Buchholz eliminated in the district tournament as well. But right now, the 1A schools outside of PK Young are the ones that are remaining in this area.
Marty, we got a text here on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Jim. Jim wants to know, Marty, who is the best high school boys basketball player you've seen this year?
That's a good question. It's probably in Santa Fe, Dontrell Jenkins, and don't let me forget about Santa Fe. I almost forgot about Santa Fe. I'm glad you reminded me. They're opening up tonight as well at home. They won another district title last week, beating North Marion, and of course you remember last year they went all the way to the state championship game in 4A with the big man who's at NC State, Ernest Ross, but. Their point guard, Dontrell Jenkins, is, I think, the best player I've seen, and he put up 19 in the district final last week at North Marion. Santa Fe rallied in a tough environment in the game we broadcast. I think he's probably the best player I've seen. He's just he made one of those moves where the whole gym ooh and ah. So he's fun to watch. But that would be the first name that comes to mind. And actually, after that, probably for Hawthorne. CI the third, CI's son, Cornelius Ingram, who's a freshman and is their leading scorer, probably the best player I've seen. Is the best player on that Hawthorne team that, is trying to go back to Lakeland this year after they won the state title a couple of years ago.
Marty, who are you on the call this week?
I'll be in Trenton tonight. We're doing, there's 2 broadcasts. Mike's at Hawthorne. They're playing Williston tonight. And I'll be in Trenton because Trenton's hosting Newberry. And those 2 teams just played last week, Trenton and Newberry, for the district title. And Trenton came back from down 13 to beat Newberry. So now they're going to host Newberry tonight in the region semifinal, the first round of the 1A playoffs. So I'll be there tonight. Mike's in Hawthorne. So we're going to have those playoffs covered. And then, of course, 1A only has to win 2 games to get to Lakeland. So the winners tonight will play next Tuesday or a shot to go to Lakeland, which the boys basketball finals down there will be the week after next, since girls are next week.
And baseball and softball are starting up this week, I believe, and next week. Let me ask you this, Marty. I may have asked you this before. You do a great job with football, baseball, and obviously basketball for high school sports. Which one's your favorite to cover or call, I should say?
Honestly, I would say at this point it's probably basketball. It was probably my least favorite at the beginning, but as time's gone on, I think the way basketball works in high school, it's like, the games are about an hour and a half. They go pretty quickly, and they move pretty fast. And I love football too. Don't get me wrong, but you can do a lot of basketball games in one day. And you can see, you get to see a lot of basketball in a short period of time. And I enjoy basketball. Baseball, I love baseball too. I mean, baseball obviously is a lot more laid back. But when I first started doing this, I would say it was probably football. And now I think baseball and basketball may have either tied it or surpassed it a little bit. I mean, I enjoy doing all of it. Probably honestly, my least favorite, and I'll say this, be honest about it, is soccer. But no, but yeah, I would say basketball and baseball are pretty close at this point. I enjoy, and softball too. Softball is a lot of fun to call as well.
Speaking of softball, we got before we let you go here, Marty, last text here on the Titan MR text line from Walter. He says, Marty, I know the seasons haven't started, but who should we look out for high school baseball teams and softball teams? Baseball.
Well, yeah, of course, that season starts on Monday, so that everyone can get going next week, baseball and softball. Yeah, I think baseball is going to be Buell's again. They're pretty much loaded. They only lost a couple of guys from last year's team that went to the playoffs. Santa Fe is going to be loaded again. They won 24 games, I think, last year and won a district title. They lost, I believe, two or three seniors. That's about it. So Santa Fe is another team to watch. If you're going down to probably Ocala, Trinity Catholic will be good again. I think Forest will have another good team. But and that's for baseball, And if you're going to go out in the 1A area, that's going to be interesting because I think there's just going to be. I can't pick one team out of those right now. But as far as softball, it looks like Gainesville will be probably the top team again in at least the Gainesville area. And Trenton, who's dominated 1A the last couple of years, a little bit of rebuilding for them. They lost a lot of seniors finally. So they may have to rebuild, but Dixie County is going to be really good this year, and so they'll have to watch them as well. Don't let me forget Newberry baseball. Newberry won the state title in 1A a year ago, so I expect to see Newberry back again. So I think it's going to be a fun year. We've got a lot of good baseball teams and softball as well. So I'm just ready for it to get going so we can see who's going to do what, but. Those are the teams right off the top of my head that I would say we will have to watch when the season starts.
Newberry, I forgot they won that state title. They won it going through the high school transfer portal, didn't they?
Well, there is such a thing, which there probably is at this point. Yeah, well, a little bit maybe, but
just a little.
I'm going to be a little, I'm not going to say that, but. They was their first state title. It's not like they're a team that has been, they're not like a Madison County who's there every year in some sports. Newberry, won their first state championship in baseball. So, but yeah, I don't know. That happens in high school sports. You know that, QB.
Yep.
It's a thing that we have to deal with, and that's not going to stop either because it's allowed.
No doubt. Well, Marty, great stuff as always, buddy. Enjoy calling the state playoffs in basketball, and we'll talk to you on down the road, buddy.
All right, Shane. Thanks a lot.
That's marvelous. Marty Pallman from the PrepZone.com. Join us on the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. Take our final time out, come back and wrap up this Thursday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, Live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips. It's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Aikido America, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Are you tired of being sidelined by nagging pain? Hi, I'm Emmett Smith, Hall of Famer and Dance with the Stars champion. Happy to tell you about QC Kinetics and their biologic therapies for treating pain without drugs or surgery.
Are you suffering from chronic pain in your hips, knees, shoulder, or lower back? Are you tired of living with arthritis pain? QC Kinetics offers natural pain treatment that can repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints.
Listen, I know pain, and I've seen firsthand how powerful biologic therapies can be. Patients at QC Kinetics rave about their result because they're getting their lives back. They are getting moving again.
These exciting regenerative treatments used to be available only to pro athletes like Emmett. Now they're available to anyone thanks to QC Kinetics. Call today for your free consultation.
Get long-lasting results from my friends at QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. In North Central Florida, call 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at South State Bank. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking for member FDIC. This Day in Sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Comfort Temp's now hiring team members, all levels of experience. $1,000 signing bonus. Give Comfort Temp a call, 352-376-2366. This Day in Sports, back in 1980, the 22nd Daytona 500, Buddy Baker beats Bobby Allison and Neil Bonnet. That's back when it was racing, as the old NASCAR fans will say. So that's This Day in Sports, brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp Daytona 500s this weekend. Don't forget, tomorrow we are going to have Chris Doring on the program and Kelly Ray Finley. Make sure you tune in. Before we get out here, Andy says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. At the risk of even mentioning the Olympics, an interesting stat. Did you know that the gold medals they are passing out are made up of 92.5% silver? That makes no sense at all. Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. But as you said, I've not watched any of the Olympics, not because I just don't think about it. I don't even know how the U.S. is doing. So anyway, hope you enjoyed today's program. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Should be a good one with Doring and Kelly Ray Finley. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.